All right, here we go. Bring everybody in here. What's up, guys? How's it going?
Doing good. How about you guys?
Something we talked about the other day. I love our intro, but I got to thinking about R-Truth, and I was looking online, and he apparently used to have a Cameo account, so we could have paid him to rap us an intro, but he doesn't do it anymore.
That would have been amazing.
Yeah, so I see the Prime there. We did not pay for that. See if I can get your audio on there. I don't have you.
Oh, snap. Sorry about that.
There you are. Okay, cool. Yeah, so we didn't pay for that Prime sponsorship.
I should get paid for it.
I had some earlier today, so yeah. I don't like Logan Paul as a person, but I like his drink. That ice pop stuff, I swear I live off of it in the summer. So anyways, welcome back everybody. Wednesday, May 8th, 2024. This is we're doing a special episode. Of course, join us on WWE on Reddit for all the WWE discussion, and thanks to Ascendant for the Doomsday Machine soundtrack. Today's special, we're doing something a little bit different, something I thought would be fun to do. All the rosters are set in now because of it's after Backlash, so all the rosters are now locked in. So I thought it'd be cool for us to go down the line, look at the champions, and give our thoughts on where they should go. Obviously, I want Cody to have a very long championship reign, so I hate even mentioning the idea of him not being champion anymore. I am a crybaby, but it is what it is. So we're going to start on Raw. We were going to do King and Queen of the Ring, but the Queen of the Ring brackets I still don't think are out. I heard they were supposed to be on the bump, but I didn't watch the bump, and I haven't seen them on Twitter, so obviously they're not out right now. So we can do those at a later date. So we're just going to look at championships, and then if we get time at the end, a little bloodline action. So we'll launch right into it with the World Heavyweight Championship on the Raw brand. Fellas, what's your vision?
Finn. I still think that they're going to break up or have Damian leave the Judgment Day, and he's going to end up feuding with Finn.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's bound to happen without a doubt. But I was going to say I wouldn't mind seeing Braun Strowman personally face him myself also.
Yeah, you can say what you think it'll happen and what you want to happen. What's your dream? Finn is probably inevitable, and honestly, he deserves something after being the first Universal Champion and then losing it like shortly after that. Like, I feel bad for him.
Yeah, I think he deserves it with what he's done with the Judgment Day, taking over from when Edge was leaving, that whole thing, and being there with the Judgment Day the whole time, giving them credibility before Damian and Rhea got over. I think he deserves it.
I could see it. There's definitely some tension bubbling there. I mean, I could see it. Now, my thoughts, Gunther. I mean, win the Money in the Bank, cash it in. Gunther's the guy. But I think they're building to Drew and Punk. I think Drew's going to get into a program, maybe Clash at the Castle. Probably CM Punk might win Money in the Bank. And there's going to be something with Drew and Punk, I think. And I think there will be a title involved. My long shot is Braun Breaker winning Money in the Bank and cashing in. That'd be a nice surprise.
Yeah, with Gunther too, I think you could see no matter who the World Heavyweight Championship is at the time, Bash in Berlin, he'll be number one contender, I assume.
Yeah, I mean, he's got to get that moment, because imagine France, but like the Germans with an Austrian guy. I mean, they're not the same country, but they're neighbors. So surely he'll be over in Germany too, I would think. I don't know. I don't know how Austrian-German relations are after World War II. They might have some beef. I don't know.
I don't know how good of a match, honestly, Gunther would have with Damian Priest. I think if they, gave it to like Drew and Gunther would have a good match. But I just don't know if Damian's there yet as far as throwing that kind of match with Gunther.
Because we know Drew and Sheamus had an amazing match the other night. So you put him with the right guy, and I mean, anything can happen. Okay.
A great match would be back in the day, too. We can't do it now because the time doesn't add up.
Yeah.
But Damian Priest versus The Undertaker in his prime, they have very similar body types, similar moveset. I think it would be a phenomenal match, the two of them, if we were to cross out.
Undertaker versus Emo Taker. Let's go.
Hetero Taker versus bisexual Taker. Yep. So you never know. Okay. So women's. We got Becky, just took the title recently, not that long of a champ. Do you see her as a transitional champ, having a long reign? What do you see next here?
Personally, this is just something I would love to see. I would love to see her do a small program with Lyra Valkyria.
Okay.
Just to throw Lyra into the mix of being like at the top of Raw. Because I don't right now Liv doing the whole thing with the Judgment Day. I think Rhea's going to come back and take the title from Becky and then feud with Liv.
See, I could see Liv getting it somehow, Money in the Bank maybe, and Rhea taking it off of Liv as like revenge maybe.
Yeah, I could see that. I just want to see Lyra get that push. I love her.
Yeah.
Seeing we just saw that in NXT though, I don't think they're gonna rebrand it to Raw. Personally, myself.
Her match, Lyra's match the other night was or Monday, a couple nights ago, little sloppy. That finish was. It seemed like they rehearsed a good segment and it just didn't go through like it was supposed to. So I don't know. I hope that they don't sour on her. I hope Triple H and HBK are like, hey, they talk and come on. Yeah. I mean, these things happen.
I'm hoping Monday night was just like a one-off, like she screwed up type thing. And I want to see her and Becky still, carry that feud over. I was a fan of it.
I still want Zelina to have a moment. I feel like she still needs a championship at some point. That's why I wish there were mid-card championships. There's so many women that should have a championship at this point. I think Zelina, potential Money in the Bank winner, and could win a championship. I want to see her with a championship at some point. It's astounding that she hasn't had one yet.
Yeah.
So this is going to be sort of a weird take. I feel like people will think, but personally myself, I would want to see Kiana James versus Becky Lynch. She could help prop her up to where she could be a higher up member of the Raw roster, seen just coming out of NXT. Because she had a really good showing towards the end there with the feud with Roxanne Perez earlier on, taking Izzy Day by her side. I'd definitely like to see a Becky versus Kiana James match at some point. Not saying Kiana wins, but just to get her up to that level where she gives her a good run for the championship.
I could see it. There's potential there.
Yeah, just to see how she does, to see if she's worth pushing in the long run.
So we have Sami Zayn, the Intercontinental Champion. I mean, I think what's gonna happen is probably written in at this point. It's the three-way match with Gable and Bronson Reed. I think there's going to be a title change there. I think Chad Gable should win it. I mean, that's my number one pick for Chad Gable. My backup pick would be The Miz, because I love The Miz as an IC champ, and I'd love to see him bring back the white strap. But Chad Gable's my top pick, and that lines up because I think that's what could actually happen.
My pick that it's bound to happen is Chad Gable taking it and winning the Intercontinental. Dream feud to see how they could put a match together is Sammy and Ilya Dragunov.
Okay.
I just wanted to see how that would go. I think they would put on a good match. I think they could, have a good feud going, especially if Dragunov joins Imperium.
I mean, hell of a match the other night. Just probably match of the night. I mean, Gunther and Sheamus was awesome, but I mean, that Dragunov match was just wow. That was good stuff.
Yep.
I can always tell when it's a good match on TV because my wife is a casual fan, so I'll have WWE on TV and she'll be sitting there watching something on her phone. And if the match is good, I'll see her start watching it. And so she watched that match and the Gunther match. And I was like, see, those were good matches.
Yeah.
If Gable does take the championship off of Zayn, I would love to see heel Gable managed by Kurt Angle. As Kurt Angle said on Twitter before, he would like to manage him. That would be money for me to see that.
I mean, yeah. And speaking of Angle, leading into the tag team championships, my pick, I'd like to see the Creed brothers get them, because if heel Gable can form a faction with the Creed brothers, just give them all the gold.
That was my pick too. Was the Creed brothers, or give Gunther and Imperium the push.
I'm making up my own team here. I want to throw Braun Strowman and Braun Breaker on a team together. I think they'd be
They would just kill everyone. There wouldn't be anyone left.
Yeah,
and Bronson Reed is their Bronson Reed is their manager.
Yeah, we could do that too.
It's funny you mentioned that, because I did a throw together team as well with Drew and Sheamus. Because I really liked the chemistry that the bar had, and I could see that with Drew and Sheamus. I think that could potentially be a thing. But there's not a lot of tag teams. It's hard. I mean, you have to throw some together.
Yeah. I was just going with actual teams that are like made right now. But if Sheamus and Drew, I was thinking about them in the long run, if they don't do anything with Drew with CM Punk, which we know they're going to, but we don't know how long that feud's going to go on. So,
and that feud is one that at this point is so good it doesn't even need a belt involved. So if they could just keep going with that one, like that feud is already good enough as it is. I mean, that could go on for months. They could have a regular match. I could see that going to a Hell in a Cell match. Like they don't even need a belt. Just let them kill each other.
They could make up a belt like they did with The Rock.
Yeah, the People's Champ.
Bring back the UK Championship.
The European Championship. Let's go.
The big meaty men's slapping meat championship.
I think we were going to see that match at Clash of the Castle too, because he sort of alluded to it. CM Punk on Monday, he said, even if I have to go all the way to Scotland to Clash of the Castle, I'm going to get you. So I think that's like an Easter egg towards that.
Yeah.
And I mean, from what I read, I mean, CM Punk could be cleared like soon. I mean, so there's potential there. Anything could happen with that. So, I mean, I definitely think we have time. I mean, Clash of the Castles in July? I mean, I don't remember.
Yeah.
June 15th.
Yeah, June. Yep. Next
month.
month.
He could be cleared by then. I mean, I
have this feeling that he's already been cleared, but they're keeping it under wraps because he's so injury prone that they don't want to, put him in any kind of danger to, stub his toe on the ring steps and be out for a year and a half.
So with him.
That's what I'm curious about with him. Yeah, he's injury prone.
Yep.
Yeah. With him pumping up the crowd, that show looked pretty good on Monday night too.
With him never actually losing the AEW championship belt, he should bring it out at Clash of the Castle in the feud with Drew and defend it.
I was reading that on Twitter. Like, a lot of people were saying that. They're like, he's still technically the AEW champion.
Yeah. He put an X and spray paint on it, and he called himself the real world champion, not the AEW champion, the real world champion. I would die if Triple H did that. If they pull that out, I would freaking lose my shit.
I mean, I think we've seen the TNA belt on WWE. The last time before that I can remember is the WWE Women's Championship showing up on WCW. Like, it would definitely, it would be cool.
We saw the Women's TNA Championship this year, and also with Mickie James a few years ago.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that would be an interesting thing. Okay, so this next one is a harder one. This is, of all the ones that we did, this is the one that took me the longest to try to put something together. So the US Championship, where do we go here?
Johnny Gargano.
All day. That would be a good match.
That was my dream match right there. As soon as I saw that, I was like, yep, that would be great.
I would like to see Carmelo Hayes versus Logan in a ladder match for the United States Championship.
It's funny you mentioned that. Carmelo Hayes was my number 2 pick for that. Yeah.
He was my number 2.
Oh.
Yep. My first one was LA Knight, because they're not going to give him a main title. They need to give him something. He's over. So he's a good talker. I think him and Logan could have some good promos, but I think they could have a good match too. So, I mean, what else are they going to do with him? I mean, there's not much there. But yeah, Carmelo, I think they could definitely put on a good match. They're both hella athletic, and I think they could definitely kill it. And it's a good place for him to start because you don't want to thrust Carmelo like straight to the top. So kind of want to let people get to know him. They're already giving him good TV time. He's already been made a good showing with matches, and he's a good talker. So, and then if he wins it, he could go on a feud with like Bobby Lashley, drop the belt to Bobby Lashley, then feud for the main title or something. Yep.
A great match would be too if we were to cross arrows again as Jeff Hardy in his prime versus Logan Paul in a ladder match. I think we'd see some crazy stunts pulled out by the two of them.
Yeah,
that would. Oh man, I love doing it. I love looking at like wrestlers from the past and like present people and who I'd like to see, like Andre the Giant and Braun Strowman. I think I could do a whole show on that. That'd be so much fun.
Be a lot of power.
Let's see. Let's do the tag belts. Who do you see with the tag championships over on SmackDown?
RKO. Randy Orton and Kevin Owens.
I did not think about that, but yeah, I like that. Okay.
Yeah. I want to see them face Pretty Deadly, but I want them to stay tag champions. So I created a faction that I'd like to see on SmackDown. I want to see Logan Paul, A-Town Down Under, Tiffany Stratton, and Chelsea Green all in a faction.
Wow.
Is annoying as hell the name?
Yep. Yeah. You can call it whatever you want.
Oh my. Because A-Town Down Under, they're already like they have an A+ in being annoying. I mean,
Nick Aldis would lose his shit.
He'd quit.
He'd be like, "Screw this, I'm done.
I'm out of here. This ain't happening no more." I want to see DIY do it though. I mean, like they're a shoe-in, in my opinion. I mean, and then you could break them up later and they could feud or whatever. But like, I feel like at some point after everything they did in NXT, they should have a tag title set on the main roster somewhere. Just because of like their legacy, how good they are. The other one, I think, and getting later into the bloodline thing, the Guerrillas of Destiny, I think would be they're already together. They're in a faction together. I think it would put some gold in there. I could see them. They're a great team. So I think there's potential there too. Tongaloa and Tama Tonga, for those who don't know that.
Yes.
That's what they were before.
Yep.
So I don't know. Tag teams are hard because a lot of times there's not that many teams. It's kind of like you have to just throw them together.
They could recycle. They could recycle the Seth and Dean Ambrose angle where DIY wins the tag titles and then Tommaso Ciampa turns on him right after.
Yeah. Interesting enough. So Bayley, transitional champion or longer reign?
I think it's going to be a little bit of a longer reign. My picks to feud with that I would like to see would be Blair Davenport or Tegan Knox. That was just somebody I want to see. But in the long run, she's going to keep it. Tiffy's going to win the Money in the Bank and then probably cash it in at SummerSlam and win it.
Yeah, I think at this point it's inevitable. Tiffany Stratton, I think, is going to get it. She's going to probably win the Money in the Bank and take it, and
she's hella over right now.
Yeah, I think that's kind of inevitable. I'd like to see Naomi have another run, just because I really like Naomi. When my daughter was little, that was her favorite wrestler. So sentimentally for me, that's what I'd like to see. But I think we know what time it is.
Yep. I'd like to see Jade Cargill, personally, myself, take the belt off of Bayley eventually, but it won't happen for a while, seeing they just got the tag team titles, I assume. Or that match.
You could do the long-term thing, and her and Bianca maybe gets it and they feud or something. There's something there.
Yep.
I don't know how good they're going to be on Jade Cargill after Backlash, and a few people that I've heard saying that there are some people in the back that aren't happy with her because of how that match went.
Yeah.
Because of the botches and all that stuff. So, I hope they don't, drop the tag titles faster than we want. And I hope they still push Jade. I would love to see Jade and Bayley feud too a little bit.
It's one thing that I've noticed, and I don't know what it is, but it seems like, I don't know if it's just we notice them more and they're put out there more, or if it's a training thing, but the women's matches seem to be prone more to botches. So that makes me wonder if what their training program's like. Maybe they don't get as much training in technicality because it's about looks or anything like that. Or maybe it's just that's what's put out more and we just don't notice it as much with the men. Like that women's match I thought was pretty good, and then looking back on it, I was like, oh, there were some rough spots in there. So I don't know. Something to think about.
Yeah, speaking of that though, like I was thinking about this with the women's matches too, but then I saw an interview and I can't remember who it was, but they were saying even in the Performance Center in NXT, like back in 2014, they weren't allowing women to actually throw closed fist punches.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, there's still that gap in training between the men and the women. And a lot of the coaches in NXT and at the Performance Center are men. So they're not they're probably, taking it a little easier, because they don't know how to transition into allowing these women to do what the men do in the ring, because they've been held back by Vince for so many years.
Yeah. And that would be my hope, that as more of these women are getting towards the later years of their career, like I could see Natalya being a great coach at the Performance Center, because that's what they're using for now, is putting people over. So bring in more experienced women from the new era who are more about performing and not about so much about looks, and have them train the women in performing. And I think that would help out a lot.
I don't think the referee helped that match either during Backlash, mixing up the legal competitors. I think that hurt it a lot.
Yeah. That always is something that confuses me. Like a lot of times, if there's someone who gets who should have got a rope break, or there was the wrong person in the match, like if we were watching football, they'd be like, go to the tape.
Yeah.
I wonder if TKO is going to bring in that element of realism, because I think that would be something really cool that WWE could do. Because a performer could say on the next week's show, like, hey, look, this happened, so I should get a rematch. And then they do a rematch. I think that realism would go a long way.
That's what they did with Noam Dar this week on NXT. Yep.
I haven't watched yet. I'm watching
sorry
tonight.
about that.
Yeah, I haven't watched it yet either.
Sorry, guys. My bad.
I'm doing NXT tonight, so
sorry about that. My bad.
Okay, so the main title, obviously, I want Cody to have a long reign. I will be a crybaby for quite some time. I was a fan of Cody going back to Stardust and watching him in the Indies and the stuff he did with Stephen Amell. And I'm a big Cody fan, not just because he's new and popular, but I've always been a Cody fan. So I'd like him to keep the belt. But I do have some ideas for a few feuds I'd like to see. What are you guys thinking with Cody? What's next for him?
Long feud with AJ Styles. I wore a shirt for the reason. I want to see a feud with AJ, see how far they can go with that, because there was no build up to this match.
No, there was not. No.
And I want to see them actually get on the mic, cut promos against each other, because they're both amazing at, building up matches and stories. And so I would love to see that.
I personally, I want to see the legacy thing come in full effect. I want to see him face Randy Orton.
That's my number one.
Yep, but I want them to do a little twist on it. I want there to be a masked man that starts attacking the two of them dressed as Stardust, and it ends up being Ted DiBiase Jr.
Oh my Jesus!
Good Lord!
Yeah, and then in the end they got a triple threat, and then I want.
Oh man!
I want to see Randy use the Legend Killer pun on one of the two of them. I don't care which one it is.
See, and the obvious way to go with that would be Cody's already a face, turn Orton heel. I'd like to see Cody turn heel against a face Orton. I think that would be more interesting. Heel Cody, brown hair, heel Cody is good Cody.
Yep.
Yeah, I would love to see that.
But I don't know if they'll do it, because he's kind of like the face of the company now, and he's kind of like, but I don't know. He's not like Cena face. He's more like a Bayley face of the company, and they turned her. So
see, I see him turning into that condescending asshole type heel.
Yeah, exactly.
And he kind of has that persona now as a face because he comes to the ring with a suit, uses all of his big words that even his brother said in an interview a couple weeks ago that when he watches promos, he sometimes has to go Google what some of the words that Cody's using is. So I would like to see that side of Cody turn heel. Another
one I have, not outside of the legacy thing, not a common pick, but I have Montez Ford on my list. I still feel like he's someone that could carry a championship.
I would see him as like a U.S. champion, not like I don't see him as the one that's going to fill the seats in the arena. That's what that WWE champion does. So as much as I would like to see them have a match, I don't think they would ever give him the actual championship.
Because they were talking before, like forever ago, about splitting the profits up and all that, and that never happened. So I'd like to see him have a singles run at some point with something. Yeah. Maybe give him the speed championship.
I think their two wrestling styles would work out perfect together too, him and Montez Ford. That would be a great match.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, further down the road, I still, massive DIY fan. I still think there's something there. If DIY splits up, and I don't know, there's a whole story you could write there. And, Tommaso is one of my all-time favorite NXT champions. Like, just his presence is incredible. I don't think he'd get over with the main roster, but I mean, as an NXT champ, I love what he did. So back burner, I don't know. I feel like there's something there if I was a writer. But I'd like to see Cody keep it for a while, at least a year. Like, I mean, after finishing the story, like the story's got to last a little bit longer than a few months. So I don't think they're going to take it off of him anytime soon. And I'm still waiting for the rebrand of the belt.
I think they'll have him hold it till Mania when he faces The Rock.
Jesus. And what's interesting is I've totally written Roman out of the picture. Like, not coming back for a while, not in the picture for this belt, doing bloodline stuff and all that. But there's been a lot of "We Want Roman" chants, so it makes me wonder if they're thinking about it.
They were advertising him for the August 2nd episode of SmackDown.
Yep, yeah. I saw that too.
So
there's I feel like there's still
part of my
there.
bloodline booking though.
Yeah.
With the possible Cody heel turn too, I think they sort of alluded to it on the Raw after SmackDown. I think he told Jay or something he'd be his Shield, or after Seth Rollins said it to him, and then Cody never followed through. He just let Jay get attacked. So I don't know how many people are going to remember that, but
yeah,
it's wrestling stuff's usually forgotten within a few minutes. Usually after the match is over, it's like, eh.
Yeah.
Facts.
So we'll move on to NXT. I probably need to load those. That might be a good idea. I haven't watched NXT yet, but I have been spoiled.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Oh, not yours. Somebody texted me this morning. They sent me a picture of the, and I'll pop it up because I don't actually have I didn't think about this until today, but I since it's already out there, we can kind of maybe work off the cuff on this one, at least maybe pick a favorite. So the Combine was last night, and we have the rankings for those. So off that list, we can maybe pick a favorite. My favorite is already on there, Tatum Paxley at the bottom. Still my pick for the NXT North American Women's Championship. So I'm happy to see that. Jason, look away. Don't look.
Oh no, my top pick for the Women's North Americans ranked number one.
Yeah, yep. I thought so.
Yep, same here.
And two of my picks are 1 and 2. That was my pick for the match for the title is 1 and 2.
I mean, these do not. I mean, I haven't watched it, but these don't look surprising to me. I'm not surprised by any of these. I mean, yeah, Ivy Nile being in there because she's on the main roster was kind of a surprise, but I guess they had to put someone in there for that. But Tatum Paxley is my number 1 pick. If I had to pick a number 2 off of that list, it'd probably be Jada Parker. So I think she'll carry that belt really well. So there's some stuff coming up with that one. We'll probably talk about that in the future. But starting off at the top, Trick Williams. Where are we going with his future?
Sean Spears.
That was my number one too.
Yep. 100% Sean Spears.
Yep.
Well, this might be a little too soon, but I want to see him versus Javon Evans for the title.
Oh god, that'd be good. That would be an incredible match. That'd be like Ciampa Gargano good. Oh,
they're propping him up. They're propping him up quick, so I could see it in the near future as long as Trick's still holding the belt.
So my backup pick is Tony D. I still think. I mean, main roster probably not the best for the family, but I still think while he's in NXT, I think he could carry the belt really well. Who knows if that'll happen? But it would be cool, I think. But yeah, Sean Spears is kind of the. When I look at the NXT roster, I don't see anyone else that could carry it as well as Sean Spears. I don't know.
No,
Trick
not
Williams still. I'm still not entirely sold on Trick Williams. I mean, he's a good champion, but I still think there's better on the roster.
Oh yeah, 100%. They needed to give it to someone, and I think he was probably the best choice at the time because Sean Spears was still, coming back into the swing of being in NXT. But now that he's established himself on the roster, he's the next.
And I like that. I don't know if it's a shot at Tony Khan, but I'd like to see AEW champions become WWE champions. So Cody was, I don't know, if, unappreciated or whatever. Now he's the top guy in WWE.
Yep.
So some of these other people are coming over. Jade, now a champion in WWE. So it would be interesting to see more of that, like, continued.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting. That's one thing I like about NXT is it's a hard one to guess, like, because you don't know what's going to come next with that brand. I mean, they could literally go anywhere. I mean, another one that was kind of hard for me was the NXT Women's Championship.
I'm thinking Battleground. Nikita Lyons comes back, and I would like to see them two feud. Yeah.
I want to see Cora Jade when she gets back to be healthy go against Roxanne because they were sort of building that up when she came back because they were both in the running for the championship even though Roxanne wasn't the champion yet, and they were about to kick that off. I feel like, and it just wasn't able to happen with the core injury.
I mean, I had a couple just off the cuff. Obviously, Jada Parker is my number one. I'm a big Jada Parker fan. I think she's got tremendous potential, and I would love to see her as a champion. My backup is Ariana Grace. I like what they're doing with her on TV. I like the promos. She's obviously missed NXT, so I don't know. I think she'd be a good champ. I could see her presence being really good on TV.
Yeah, I could see that.
So yeah, I mean, but Nikita Lyons, I don't know. I didn't give that one much thought because it seemed like an obvious pick. But yeah, I think I could see it. I think that'd be another one.
They got to make her more prevalent, though. She hasn't been anywhere to be found recently.
She's been.
I know, that's what I'm saying. They should make NXT or bring the women's tag team championships down to NXT like they used to. And when Cora comes back, her and Nikita take them because they both had ACL tears.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yep.
So who do we think is going to topple Oba Femi for the North American Championship?
Little ass Wesley.
Personally, myself. Personally, myself, I want to see Ridge Holland face him. I think that'd be a great match.
That Ridge Holland was my number 2 pick. Yep,
between
he was
the two
on my
of them.
list too. Yep, I had him on my list too. I had Ridge Holland and Lexus King. Because they want to legitimize Lexus King. His gimmick is god awful, but I mean, I liked 80s hair bands as much as anybody, but I don't know. I whatever they're doing with him, I don't like the gimmick. I understand why they may want to distance themselves from the name, but I think a rebrand could be good for him. But I think talent-wise, I think he'd be a good mid-card champion.
Yeah. I'm just not a big I wasn't even a fan of him in AEW. I mean, he's just with the hair and everything trying way too hard to live off his dad's legacy instead of trying to be himself.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like you said, reestablish him as with a new character or something like that, or new persona, and see how he does. But the hair's got to go.
I mean, we could go all day long about gimmick changes and how they work. I mean, Leaky to Roman Reigns. I mean, rebranding works. Whatever they're going to do with Bo Dallas, I mean, it would help a lot.
Yep.
Yeah, they might as well call him the Tiger King with the way he looks right now.
I know.
Right? Yes, I was saying the same thing.
Good Lord.
Tiger King gets out of prison. They're a tag team. Let's go.
Lexus King is never going to financially recover from this one. So this was a harder one. This one was more challenging. The tag team championships in NXT.
Chase you.
Yeah, okay.
I formed a tag team. I want to see Shawn Spears and Lexus King join up to take the belts off them.
It's funny. I formed a tag team, but it was Shawn Spears and Ridge Holland.
Yep, I could see that too.
Well, yeah, I can see that.
Because you look at Sheamus and Cesaro, a lot of times enemies can become good friends and be good champions. Shawn Spears and Ridge Holland have good in-ring chemistry. I think they could turn that into a team against others. But my number 2 pick was the family. I just want to see the family with some gold.
Yeah.
I was going to say.
For me, it was the family or Chase U.
Yeah. I mean, even if Tony D gets another championship, you could put someone else with stacks like Vinci, because they're not going to do anything with him on SmackDown. Just bring him over. I think he's Italian anyway, so
even Luca Crucifino, they already got him in the family.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan, but I don't know, somebody in there. This tag team though, I don't know. It's such an odd pairing. I don't know. It seems like a lot of tag teams in NXT kind of get thrown together. I can't really say anything because we've been throwing teams together all night, but I would just like to see these belts with someone else. I don't care too much for this team, so someone else, I think.
WWE signs Ray Phoenix and Pentagon Jr., and they come in and win the titles. Let's go.
Or Nathan we have a super kick party.
Oh God! If WWE ever signs them, I will just quit watching wrestling altogether.
I'm a yes and a no. Like I don't want them just because I don't like their personalities. But in ring, I have so many teams I'd like to see them fight in WWE.
Oh yeah, so some of their matches are with Pentagon and Ray Phoenix in the cages in AEW.
Yeah.
Phenomenal matches, but them as like people,
they're horrible. They're just awful, annoying people. On the subject of tag team matches, though, I had some unbranded ones with the women. So this could go with Raw, SmackDown, NXT. I mean, there's a number of ways you could go with this one. So who would you like to see with these belts?
I don't think there's any other women on Raw or SmackDown.
We're probably all going to say the same thing.
Yeah, I don't want to. There's no one else that I think can carry him.
I got a team.
Who'd you put together?
Chelsea Green and Tiffany Stratton. You got 2 tag team champions and the U.S. champion leading the faction. So everyone in the faction has gold.
I had Chelsea and Piper just because they're already a team, and I want Chelsea to have a belt. But I would rather see that. That sounds better.
I like Piper Niven.
It was her birthday on Monday, I think, too.
I'm just glad she's not Dewdrop anymore.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Good God.
When she came back from her injury as Piper Niven, I was like, thank the Lord.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, thank God. That was just so much better. I mean, I think NXT has some better teams that could work more than the main roster, because on the main roster, all you have is Chelsea and Piper. That's it.
Yeah. Other than Damage Control.
They just
they just had it. Yeah. So another unbranded one, and this is beyond just booking. Where do you see this title going in general? What do you see them doing with it? What would you like to see done with it? The Speed Championship.
The next champion is going to be Montez Ford. That's the only thing I can see with the Speed Championship.
I had a different take on it. I put Braun Breaker in just because of how they're booking his fast matches and
that's
fast
what I did too.
Yep.
Yep.
Because he's
you only need 3 seconds, not 3 minutes.
Yeah, he'll get done. He'll get done quick, fast, and in a hurry. Be game over.
I don't get why they're not having Ricochet sport the Speed title on TV either.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah, he wasn't wearing it on Monday. Yeah.
I don't know if it's social media exclusive and they're just like don't. But then you would want him to show up on TV with it because people would be like, oh, what's that belt? They'd look it up and then they'd go to social media, so that would get them more impressions. So it makes sense that he'd show up with it.
That's what I thought.
Someone mentioned the belt. The RPMs look like they're wrong because it red lines on the left and then goes to green.
Yeah. The shape is weird.
It is an odd looking belt. I think
I understand they wanted it to look like the instrument cluster in an old car.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it's an odd looking belt. I don't see it staying around long. I bet they'll probably run this for a few months and it'll probably just be gone. I don't see anything else they can do with it. Rebranded as the Cruiserweight champion or something, but I don't see it staying around.
Yeah, I wish they would have brought that back before this.
That would have just been a much better situation. But I mean, it's fun to watch. I mean, they're cool little matches. I enjoy watching them. So I haven't watched today's yet, but it's on I'm watching it with NXT. I kind of do it in blocks. I pair everything together. But I mean, you could honestly watch it on the toilet because it's like a 2 or 3 minute match. So okay, future title booking. Where do you see? Are there any titles you would like to add that the company doesn't have?
You mentioned it, the Cruiserweight.
Mm-hmm. There are a lot of cruisers and luchadors, and I mean, I think they could have a good run with it. I don't see why they don't have one.
One match I'd really like to see is Wes Lee versus Javon Evans in a ladder match. I think that would be phenomenal. I don't care if they add a title to it, but just the two of them, I think they need to hit that in NXT while they have it.
Yeah. Javon is so talented. Like I could watch that dude all day. Or him and Ricochet. I'd love to see them go at it. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that could be done with that dude. He's super talented. So we did pretty good. We still have enough time to do. I was curious if we would have enough time to fit this in. Thankfully we do. So I had fun making this graphic. It was hard because there's like 87 people in the bloodline now. It's like in NWO Hollywood at this point. I wanted to do, now that the story is building, I wanted to do some fantasy booking for the bloodline and kind of where we go from here. And what you guys would like to see is like the next steps. So take it away. What do you want?
All right. So I think this is just my opinion. I think Roman's going to come back close to SummerSlam, confront Solo, letting him know he's not the tribal chief. You know, he can't just claim to be that sort of thing. And then Solo, Tama Tonga, Tonga Loa. And by that time, Jacob Fatu will have, come back or debuted. And they're going to attack Roman. And then Roman's going to basically go to Jay and apologize for, say, we had our differences, but we're family. Solo's being a jackass. He's calling them the bloodline. Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa aren't even part of their bloodline. Mm-hmm. So he's going to rectify things with Jay. And then when Jimmy comes back, Jay and Jimmy are going to rectify things leading into Survivor Series, which will have a mystery opponent with Roman and the Usos, which will end up being Hikuleo.
See, Zilla was the one I brought in. Okay.
And then at that point, The Rock's going to come back at Survivor Series and pretty much tell Roman, hey, you haven't defeated me. I'm the High Chief. You may have been the Tribal Chief, but you're not the head of the table. That's me. And then that's going to carry on into WrestleMania next year.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is what I got. I want both Roman and Solo to turn on Paul Heyman, seeing Paul
Oh,
sorry, Paul. So Paul's been making decisions without Roman's consent, and Solo, he's sort of going against him too. Another thing I want to see too is I want to see The Rock say that he's been instructing Solo to do this the whole time behind Roman's back, which will lead us into the feud between Rock and Roman. I don't really want to see the Usos get back together either, Jay or Jimmy. I like Jay alone, and Jimmy I think will find his way in the future. And I would like to see this all end in a Rock versus Roman last man standing match. I don't care where it is, when it is. I want to see a last man standing match down between the two of them.
or an I Quit match would be cool. We haven't seen one of those
either
in forever.
one. Yep. Yeah, not since Extreme Rules, I don't think.
Or no, what you do is you make it an acknowledge me match. First ever.
Wow.
And the winner
but The Rock has already acknowledged Roman, though.
Yeah, I don't know how to rewrite that one.
Yeah, an I Quit match, or I Quit match, and then The Rock and then Roman wins, and the stipulation is The Rock can't wrestle in WWE ever again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I'm sure he's probably gearing up to have a last match at some point. That would be a perfect last match.
Yeah,
because then Roman would have his legacy moving forward, and then put over whoever is the next Samoan leader at that point. I'd like to see it be Jacob Fatu, but I'm biased just because I've been to his matches and I really like his stuff.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I literally just thought of, though, is when you brought up Paul Heyman, looking like he turned his back on Roman and whatnot, is if they're going to do like a bloodline civil war, Solo, Tama Tonga, Jacob Fatu on one side, Roman, Jimmy, Jay, and Hikuleo on the other, but with Paul siding with Solo and Rikishi coming back to be like the wise man or manager for the other side.
Yeah, I did not write Rikishi into any of mine. I did not think about that. Definitely it would make sense to involve more of the outside bloodline, like the extended family that's still,
because I want to see Jimmy and Jay make up, not get back together as like a tag team, but like at least, make up so they can team together with Roman type thing, and let Jay still do his thing because he is hella over right now.
Mm.
I know, it makes me wonder what they're going to do with him, because I don't think they were going to have him be the world heavyweight champion that soon, but like he gets more crowd reaction than anyone else. Other than AJ Styles in France, like no one else responds like they do with Jay. So
at the Cavs game in Cleveland on Sunday, I believe
I saw that.
They were even doing it in the middle of the game, and it wasn't even a WWE event. So if that many people knew what to do, that it's just a random event that is a WWE, that shows how much over he is right there.
Yep.
So for mine, grab a seat, grab a drink.
He's got 12 pages.
Buckle in.
I do. I have 7 pages. I'm going to try to condense this as best I can. So I'll try to work this out as best I can. But obviously you have your face bloodline. I want it to be Jay and Jimmy. Somehow get Jimmy back into it. And then you have Solo, Tama, and Tonga Loa. Jacob is going to at some point arrive, and I think he's going to side with Jay and Jimmy. So your face bloodline, Jay, Jimmy, Jacob. Heel bloodline, Solo, Tama, and Tonga. At some point, Roman's going to come back, and of course, he'll side with the Uso and Fatu faction. So you've got 4-3, Jay, Jimmy, Jacob, Roman against Solo, Tama, and Tonga. The Rock will come back at some point and side with the heel faction. So now you officially have 4-4. Jay, Jimmy, Jacob, and Roman against Solo, Tama, Tonga, and The Rock. So we're going into Survivor Series. And this is a 5-on-5 Survivor Series match. So the teams are starting to realize they're a little short. There's 4-4. What do we do from here? Well, Zilla debuts and joins the heel team. So you have Solo, Tama Tonga, Tonga Loa, The Rock, and Zilla. And this is going to be my favorite thing. If WWE can pull this off, this will be my favorite thing over the last few years, and Roman has to say it. So you have a promo with the face bloodline, and they're saying, "You're coming up a little bit short, Oos." And Roman says, "We don't need an Oos. We need an honorary Oos." And Sami Zayn joins.
Yeah.
So you go into Survivor Series. You got the Usos, Jacob, Roman, and Sammy against Solo, Tama, Tonga, The Rock, and Zilla. And that's your 5 versus 5. And then from there, you go on to future feuds, WrestleMania, setting up the head of the table. Obviously, some problems with Zilla debuting. I'm still iffy on that even happening at all due to, obvious bad blood and what's been out there and stuff like that. Thinking about it now, I could have wrote in Hikulea, probably would have been a better pick, but I could see Zilla doing it. Now, I think Heyman will switch to side with Roman in the face bloodline, and The Rock will be the mouthpiece for the heel bloodline, because I think each group has to have a mouthpiece. So I think The Rock will stay with Solo, and I think somehow Paul Heyman will switch over. Time frame wise, I mean, Survivor Series is like 6 months out, and that's more than enough time, I think, to write a story. So that's just kind of what I would like to see happen. And I know we've been building to a bloodline civil war. Last time we had a civil war, it was very half-assed. But
Yeah.
I think if they wrote it right this time, I think it could be tremendous storytelling, and it would put over a lot of young talent. I mean, Tama, Tonga, Jacob Fatu. I think it would help move the bloodline beyond Roman and the Usos into like the next generation.
Yeah.
Now, Solo as a performer, what are y'all's thoughts on him? Like, where do you see him ending up in all this? Do you see him being a leading guy, or kind of where's he going to fade into after all this? Where's he going?
I'm still not a huge fan, but like I said a couple weeks ago when we were talking about him, is I think they're doing the same thing they did with Roman because Roman wasn't that good on the mic before he was with Paul. So I think they're going to keep Paul with Solo for a while to teach him and get him ready to be a top guy.
I could see it
Eventually, but I don't see him there yet.
I was gonna say maybe they could just have him sing the national anthem. That'll get us all comfortable with him on the mic. We'll see how his singing voice is.
I'm still surprised that hasn't happened yet. I mean, that would have been so awesome.
I think he'll start out after all this as though he'll be like a mid-card guy fighting for the United States Championship or the Intercontinental Championship, whatever brand that's on, and then we can work up from there and see how he is, because his wrestling style itself, I think there's potential there without a doubt, but he needs to get that build up first, just from being in the bloodline. You can't go right to the top.
No, yeah. I'm still not convinced on Solo being the top guy. I mean, I think he's the top guy in the bloodline, like, for now, but I don't know. I'm infinitely more interested in either of the Guerrillas of Destiny. I just think either one of them could be better, but I think at some point it has to be Jimmy or Jay. I mean, that's what's been alluded to, that one of them could be the guy.
Mm.
The one thing with Solo too that I've been thinking about is when you're watching matches, you see the finisher, that the match is gonna be over or whatever, and finishers you see like AJ Styles do the Styles Clash, stuff like that, and you get amped to see him. I think Solo needs to rework at least the finisher for his matches, because that Samoan spike is so dead.
It's such a weak
It's
finisher.
Umaga's move. It's the same thing as the Nigerian nail. It's no different that Omos uses. It's the same thing.
Yeah, I think once he does something with that, it's going to be he'll start working from there.
Yeah, I mean, I like that he's talking more lately. So I mean, it's something, and he could get better. I mean, I could be completely wrong, and he could get better and be like the top guy. But I as of right now, I don't see it. It's not there for me.
And I don't know if anyone noticed it with Solo. They kind of did a throwback with his feud with John Cena, where he pretty much told Solo, you suck on the mic, learn to talk. He kind of did that same thing to Roman when he was like, I can kill you in 30 seconds on this mic type thing, because you can't cut a promo to save your life. They did the same thing with Solo, and that kind of, struck in my mind that they want to push Solo a little bit more going in the future.
Do you guys see them putting the belt back on Roman at some point?
No. As I said on a previous episode, I think he's in the point of his career like towards The Undertaker where a belt's not needed. You can just do storylines with him, and it's going to just be the main event, the main story in the brand. You don't need the belt. They're just going to use that for something else. Personally, myself, I believe that'll happen.
Yeah. Because if they put the belt on him now, people are going to expect him to hold it for 12 years. Yeah. Because he's not that guy that you put the belt on and then take it off a month later. And to make the title means something, it can't stay on one guy forever.
Yeah, exactly.
You got to expect, and it keeps the fans interested, because if we know, like we have over the last 4 or 5 years, Roman's in the ring, Roman's going to win. Yeah. And they can't bore us to death like that anymore. Mm-mm. So we have to go into matches thinking that the unexpected can happen. Yeah. So
I am excited to see him come back. I mean, I'm glad he's getting a break, but like seeing the crowd reactions now, I'm curious to see how his return will be. I think it'll be more over. And like with my booking, I would love to turn Roman face. I mean, or at least, I would say maybe he's a tweener before, but like, I think as a face, I think would be just over the freaking moon.
What if him and Cody joined forces if they're both faces?
I would like to see that at some point, and I don't know how it would happen, but I've heard people talk about that, and I think that would be really cool.
And they become tag champions. And that's the belt they put on Roman.
I mean, it'd give him something.
Yeah.
I got a question for you guys too. You think now that Tonga Loa's back, are they going to do anything with LA Knight or Drew McIntyre from The Rising?
No, probably not. I think with the reset and where we're at now, I think it's going to be mostly like all new stuff moving forward. We're rarely going to see any throwbacks, I think. And I think TKO probably wants that as they're moving out of the Vince era. So I think most of what we're going to see is going to be probably fresh stuff. The only thing I see carrying over is like the bloodline. I think we got a massive reset.
Yep.
So
I kind of saw that with, the tension between DIY and stuff like that, resetting a lot of different teams to see what they can do with individual wrestlers.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think TKO is going to really push for, a new era, the Paul Levesque era and the main roster and the Whoop That Trick era on NXT. So I think we're going to see a lot of exciting storylines. That's why I'm excited that the rosters are locked in now. Everyone is firmly in place doing their jobs, writing and stuff like that. I think that, the SmackDown era is the best WWE in recent memory. It's kind of been a lull the past few years, but I really think we're in for some really good stuff in the coming years. I have a lot of optimism right now.
Like personally myself, I don't even care about championships. I watch wrestling for storytelling. That's what I want to see.
Same.
And with Triple H saying that we're in the business of selling emotions here, I'm hoping that he goes with that to have less based around championships and more based around storylines, because that's personally myself what I watch wrestling for.
And that's why I've always been more partial to WWE. A lot of people are like, why don't you watch AEW? They have a tremendous talent and great matches. And I'm like, they do have great matches and they have a tremendous roster, but there's zero storytelling. And I invest in it for that. If I wanted just matches, I just watch boxing or UFC, which I do, but I watch it when I'm in the mood for that. WWE I watch because I invest in the emotion and the storytelling, and that's where you find it.
Yep. Exactly. That's why I watch it. It was a couple years ago, like at the beginning of AEW, they had some decent stories, but their matches and stuff brought me back to the early WCW days.
Yeah.
But it just
where it was just thrown on TV just to happen.
Yep. And there was no build up to matches. Maybe like the week before they would cut a promo and then the next week they would wrestle. But we see that didn't last in WCW.
And obviously, not to trash them, like I want them to do well because competition is a good thing. So I hope that at some point Tony Khan goes somewhere else and they bring in good writers and good bookers and they become a better brand, because that makes every other brand better. So
and we've seen that WWE started getting stale for a long time.
Yeah.
In like between like 2013 and 2020, but then once AEW formed, WWE decided, oh shit, we got competition. We need to step our game up, because they were losing in the ratings. NXT was losing to AEW week after week. It forced WWE to change the night that NXT was on. It went from Wednesdays to Tuesdays.
And for a while there, I was not watching live. I'd watch the next day or the day after. I always watch the main shows live now. Well, Raw and SmackDown, I always watch live. I don't ever miss. NXT and those, I may watch a day later. But like Raw and SmackDown have been really good lately, and I'll actually watch them. The commercials are getting beyond annoying, and I don't. That's a definite change, and I don't know what that's about. That's why I'm looking forward to Netflix and paying for that ad-free tier, because they've had some on Raw on Monday, for example, some really good matches that they kept cutting away from for commercials. And I think that hurts the brand. So I think Netflix is going to be a good deal for that.
Yeah, that Dragunov and Ricochet match, I was like, why are we going to another commercial? We just had one like 2 minutes ago.
Yes. Give me picture in picture or something.
Yeah, because that match was amazing.
I know I had a friend that was there, and he kind of filled me in. He was like, that match bell to bell was a banger. There were no lulls in it.
All right, Sheamus.
Now we know what Triple H meant when he said sponsorship was at an all-time high.
Yep.
Like personally myself, the past 2 weeks, I don't think I haven't watched it per se with the playoffs going on live. Me fast forwarding on the DVR, like I'll start at like 2 hours after it's done, and that's much better. But if there's nothing on, I will watch it live. But if not, it's too much commercials for me, especially post WrestleMania.
That helps with the DVR, yeah.
My ADHD kills me when I watch it live. Commercials come on, I switch over to YouTube real quick. Then like 20 minutes later, I'm like, shit, I forgot to turn back on Raw.
I know. It's like I was so invested in this, and it's like, oh, here's a commercial for a heart drug. I'm like, God dang it.
Yep. And then with us doing the show too, I like watching on DVR much better too, because I can take notes, pause it, go rewind if I want to watch something, do all that. I get to analyze it better after recording it than per se watching it live.
Yeah, because a lot of times I'll be sitting watching it live and I'll be taking notes, and like a lot of those promos will happen like really fast, and then you're into a match and I'm like, crap, hang on, I was just watching that. Like, wait a second, I got to go back. So that helps on some of the things.
Good luck scanning those QR codes for the howdy teasers too if you're watching live.
I pause.
Yeah, it's tough. You got to get it right on the right thing. I got to like do it like 5 times before I can get it to stay on the screen.
I am really surprised it didn't happen at Backlash, but I feel like we're so close, because I mean, I don't know if it was the last one or the one before, but the one that was at like the very end of it and you saw the Howdy trench coat, like you saw him turn around or something. I feel like we're close.
I thought they did one at Backlash.
No, like the debut. I'm ready for the debut of them in the ring.
No, they did a teaser.
With this Mondays, we're pushing for Clash of the Castle. Or I'm King of the Ring, sorry. King of the Ring.
But it could be Money in the Bank too, because going back to the original teaser, that image they pulled off, if you go on antirebel.org, right under it has July 6th for the date. And July 6th is Money in the Bank.
The one on Monday had a hidden, if you look at the video underneath it, there you couldn't see it. You had to highlight it, but it brought up a phrase that led to something. I forgot exactly what it was, but it was a cycle of 19 years, but you break it down to 19 days. 19 days from this Monday is King of the Ring. Yeah. And then in Roman numerals, it was 525.
Yeah, but I wonder if they would do that at Saudi Arabia, or if they'd want to save that for something else. I don't know.
And then with the picture they threw out too of the in the sky like the shadow, that's a French portrait right there too. So that was, you could have even used that for Backlash. So I don't know if they even know when they're going to debut him right now, to be honest with you.
I want to do an episode with that. I want to do an episode with the guy. There's the guy that's compiling all this stuff. At this point, we're so far behind. I would have to pull like a lot of screenshots, so I would need like another like week to put it all together. But I want to do an episode with that guy and like sit down and like go through all this because there's so much that has happened at this point and where we can go.
But
here.
You mentioned why would they do it in Saudi Arabia? But then you think back to the fact that the WWE experience thing that they have is in Saudi Arabia. A U.S. based company, they'll do anything in Saudi Arabia if the money's right.
Yeah.
Look at all the money they got there too with the Saudi investment fund. I don't know if you guys are into golf at all, but like Live Golf that they just started off, they could literally start a whole new wrestling promotion over there and buy everyone out of WWE if they wanted to invest the money. So I think they would like to get their boots on the ground in there before even a whisper of that happened.
Yeah.
Vince aligns with the Saudi government and creates a new wrestling promotion.
Yeah,
I've been seeing.
Never know.
I've been seeing those teasers for that, and there's talks about it, and I don't know if it's rumors or what it is, but I hope
what
not.
is it, GFW or something? It's called.
I don't know.
That there's rumors that he's gonna buy them.
Are they
start his own promotion?
Because I mean, that was Jeff Jarrett's thing, and he's an AEW, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Is there anything in the contract when TKO bought it that Vince can't go start his own thing or not? Do we know that?
So. Yeah, I don't think so.
NDAs have been null and void now by the FTC. He doesn't have that.
In the United States, though, that's what I'm saying. He could just go to maybe in another country they wrote it in. I don't know.
He found a loophole, but this, I mean, it's interesting. It's going to be an interesting few days, few months. Yeah. Can you believe that guy? That guy is going to be probably one of the biggest stars in this company this year.
I went back and was watching when the B team was feuding with Bray Wyatt, and he did the impersonation of Bray.
It was awesome,
just like him.
I watched that the other day. It came up on Facebook. Yes,
yeah, he sounds just like him. I can't wait to see what they're going to do here.
See, I thought this too. I hope they don't do this because it's sort of dark, and it's walking a real tightrope if they do it. But they already have the new Fiend costume made. Would they just put him in it?
I don't think he would.
That's what I'm saying. I hope he wouldn't, but I don't know. Just something I thought of when I saw the documentary.
I have a friend who thinks that, and this is kind of dark. He seriously thinks that they've kept Bray Wyatt in hiding. And he's still alive.
I've read that.
Come back.
I've read that. I don't
believe that. Yeah, that's conspiracy theorist stuff.
Yep. I was like, son of a bitch. I was like, you think his kids that are like 4 and 6 wouldn't like throw him under the bus? They're in school one day. They'd be like, guess what I did with my dad this weekend? And the teacher's like, thought your dad was dead.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you wouldn't see JoJo going Coachella with Liv Morgan and all of them too if that was the. Did
you see that on Twitter?
People tried throwing her under the bus with that and making her feel bad. I was like, whatever.
I saw it on Liv Morgan's Instagram. I only saw the tweet that you sent in the group chat.
There was people on there saying, "How can you be out having fun when your fiance just died?" It's like he died 8 months ago. And she has to, at some point, start living her life.
Exactly.
Let her do her thing.
I will try. I'm going to try to bring this clip in. I don't know if I can do it. Hang on. I've got a clip that I'm gonna bring in. I'm gonna see if this will work. It's gonna take a second to load. Hang on, it's uploading. But back to what you were saying. I saw that on Twitter, and there was some guy who posted it, and he got straight dragged. Like even WWE people were commenting on it, like going off on this dude. Yep. So, because I talked to my wife about that, and I was like, if I died, I would not want you sitting around the house moping. Like, if I was dead, I want you to go to a water park. Like, go have some fun. Take your mind off all this crap. Like, go and do something. So, and I think Bray would be the same guy. Okay, let me see if I can. Hang on, I have a clip. I'm going to see if I can bring this in for those who haven't. Who may not have seen this one. Let's see. I'm going to have to convert it. I'll save it for the next show. I have a clip that I'll have to bring in for the next show. It's a backstage thing, but it's pretty cool. So to wrap up, we were going to cover King and Queen of the Ring on this show, but the Queen of the Ring brackets aren't out yet. I did my King of the Ring bracket, and I have that one done, but I haven't done the Queen of the Ring one yet. So sometime before the end of the week, we will break those down and sit down and talk about those. So that is still coming, but we just haven't got to it yet. But just as a quick teaser, who do you guys see winning King of the Ring?
Gunther for me. That's who I got.
Same.
Yeah.
Okay. That was easy.
Yep.
Okay. So that's where we go from here. Okay, cool. So that's all I have. You guys got anything to add before we wrap up?
No.
Everyone have a good week. Enjoy watching SmackDown on Friday.
Yeah.
And of course, as I always say to our audio listeners, which is where most of our audience is, we are devilishly handsome. So come watch our YouTube video. There is a link in the podcast. So most of the people who listen to this are doing it on audio platforms. We do a live video too, and you can come join in and comment and all that stuff. So come join us. So until we meet again, my friends, thanks for stopping by. And we'll be back on Sunday for our weekly recap and wrap up. And we will probably do another episode before the end of the week where we wrap up with the King and Queen of the Ring predictions. So that will be coming soon as well. So thanks for stopping by to everybody who's been enjoying the podcast, particularly on the audio platforms where most of our audience is. Thank you to the video people who are tuning in and watching the recaps and the replays. Thank you as well. And we will see you next time.